your numbers on cash flow and other metrics were actually higher, not just than 2020, but than 2019, which was the pre-pandemic year. Tell me about it.
Well, thanks for having me, Tyler. We had a great quarter. Our team really delivered. To your point, and when you compare it to 2019, which is a good way to do it because it smooths out a lot of the pandemic-related factors, we were up over 13% on a two-year stack. Our earnings per share were up 57%. We were significantly above our free cash flow levels, I think 70% above 2 years ago. So we definitely have been executing our plan well.
Apart from the sheer brilliance of the CEO, what explains this rise in demand? How do you tell your shareholders and the public about what's happening in your little neck of the woods?
Well, first of all, it's definitely not the brilliance of the CEO. We've got a pretty great team that has put together a strong plan. I mean, our plan is really predicated on four important variables. We're trying to build an ownership culture, which we've done very successfully by giving stock grants to our frontline team members, which is quite unique within the retail industry. We've got a strategy to grow above the market, which we do in both of the sectors of our business, both pro and DIY. And we've got a pretty unique opportunity to expand margins. And our team has built very, very strong plans around margin expansion, which we delivered today. And then we're going to return a lot of excess cash back to our shareholders, which we also did. In the quarter, we returned $450 million plus of share buybacks and dividends back to our shareholders. So it really is the execution of a multi-year strategy that we've been driving for a couple of years now.
So let me just ask one follow-up question here. Demand is high, obviously, for replacement parts, whether it's through the professional channel or the do-it-yourselfer at home who wants to change their own oil or do a different kind of job. But are you able to get the parts you need to serve and meet the demand? Has the supply chain served you well, or are you seeing bottlenecks?
Well, there's no question it's been a very challenging supply chain environment. Everything from the sourcing of products over in China, their availability of people to do the work over there, containers coming across the ocean. And then here on this side, even within our distribution centers, there's tremendous demand for supply chain workers. Now, that has moderated in the last couple of months, but it is a challenging environment. But we're fortunate because our merchant team, our supply chain team, they have long-standing relationships with our suppliers, and that's where having scale really does help us. So I feel we fared better than most, but it's a challenging environment.
Yeah, I'm curious if you can keep growing profit margins with labor costs kind of doing what they are, Tom, but I also want to ask you about electric vehicles. You know, we heard from Kathy Wood on CNBC last week, who thinks sales, and again, this is her out-of-the-box thinking, but that they could go from 2 to 40 million units in the next couple of years. Brian Sullivan just did a kind of illustration of how difficult it can be still to charge them. If the car supply starts going electric at an increasing rate, what does that mean for your company?
Well, first of all, Kelly, the industry's been around for a long time. We've seen a lot of innovation and technology changes over the years. And clearly, we're positioning ourselves to adapt to that change over time. It's a trend that we describe as deeper than it is sooner. You know, there's 280 million cars on the road. Eventually, you know, there will be some scale of electric vehicles. But even by 2030, we have about 15 million vehicles on the road out of a population of 300 million. So it's going to take time, but every electric vehicle has wipers, it has brakes, it needs to be accessorized, it needs to be washed. So we sell a lot of the products anyway today, and we're positioning ourselves to make sure that we're able to service all the makes and models that are on the road.